This is a Black Nouveau web exclusive. This is Everett Marshburn in conversation with Dael Orlandersmith, co-author of Antonio's song, I Was Dreaming of a Son. Tell me about Antonio's song and how you got involved with it.
Antonio was working with a friend of his at the time called Joshua Sherman, and they reached out to me because he kind of knew my work, and he wanted to write about this piece. And those two went to school together, and they would talk about, Antonio's background. And they said, I think we have the makings of something we want to put on a stage. And that's how it came about. So we met, we spoke, and he told me his background, which was fascinating. He's half black and half Puerto Rican. Or as we say, Nuyorican, because Nuyorican is New York, Puerto Rican specifically, right? And his father dealt guns, and he comes out of, 3 generations of people who were born in Bedford-Stuyvesant. And Antonio's background is that, coming out of a rough part of Brooklyn, poverty-stricken. And mother had polio, father had, sickle cell. And coming out of the streets of Brooklyn and looking at, and also dreaming of something else, and then seeing Baryshnikov on public TV when he's about 18 and 19 years old, and saying, I want to do this. And actually going to Russia to study dance after seeing that. So the story, I just found it compelling. And I didn't just want it to be another hood story, because that doesn't interest me. We've seen it, been there, done it, seen it. What makes this more unique? And then we began to talk about his background and talk about what masculinity means. And him being small in stature. So there's the double whammy of that. Stature also means a lot. When we see somebody who's big and strong, that's also our, we reach out to that. That's our definition of what is masculine, combined with race, all of it, and combined with gender roles. It's very complicated. Yeah, but he and I sat down and we talked about that background.
And out of that came the production. He was the motion, you were the words. How did that?
Both. I mean, it's, I'm more of the words, right? And definitely the movement is his, and a woman called Alexandra Beller, because I love the way he lives in his body. And so we wanted it to be that, with movement and dance, where the movement becomes characters. Yeah?
Yeah.
And so that's not just simply somebody getting up there and dancing. I don't want to see that. But how the way the movement can represent a vulnerability. The movement of a hand can, or the swaying of the head can become a mom. That's what we wanted to do. So.
Well, you succeeded in that very well, because it became apparent very early that dance movement is in him, and that's what he really needs to be about. And he discovered that and got some nurturement for it, because that's something that doesn't happen often.
No, it doesn't happen often. And also, again, obviously, he began to study theater as well. How do you give birth to yourself? How do you come from people who don't know how to nurture you? But also, here we go, and this is a mixed message. We're not used to seeing nurturing men. We're not used to, because the father figure in this is the one that's very, very nurturing. And the fact that we associate childbirth with being nurturing in and of itself is not true. I mean, to the antiquated definitions of gender, when a woman is in touch with her masculine side, that means she's intelligent. When a man is in touch with his feminine side, somehow that becomes nurturing. Those definitions are archaic. I'm not saying that there isn't some root of something within it, but clearly, the mother figure in the piece is much more complicated than that. I mean, we're also looking at the sins of the father and the sins of the mother. But what I love about this is the fact that we have a man that is a nurturing, giving man. Yes, this man deals in guns. This man would kill for his family. But this man also reaches for his children and embraces his children. And we're not used to seeing that. We're not used to seeing a man that is loving. And particularly black and brown men, we're really not used to seeing it. We've not created a space for men to talk about the way they feel.
This is true. Play also really talks about generational trauma, too.
Exactly. And that's what, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what we wanted to look at too, the sins of, again, the sins of the father, the sins of the mother. And I want to go beyond sin, the hurt of the father, the hurt of the mother, and how people don't recognize that.